You know, you do this amazing stuff with your site, Hodinkee.com, but on occasion we team up and you go source some really amazing watches for us on Gilt and put together a pretty cool collection. Tell me why this watch is called an Explorer.
Explorer was essentially conceived for Sir Edmund Hillary to go up Mount Everest. So it didn't say Explorer on the dial, but it was very much the same watch. And that, you know, after he came back down successfully, they said, okay, well, this is obviously an Explorer's watch. We're going to call it the Explorer, and that's it. This watch 5 years ago was $3,500. And now I think a fair retail price for this would be around $7,000. You know, and that's doubled in price in 5 years. And it's all about the story. You know, the GMT was built for the first transcontinental pilots for Pan Am. It was co-funded by Pan American Airlines. So they gave this watch that has 2 time zones, and you can rotate the bezel to see a second time zone. They gave a watch to all the pilots, you know, in 1958 or so. And now, I mean, this is the pilot's kind of like jet set watch. This watch, you can see, has a nice original case to it. The hands and the dial match each other perfectly, so you can see that the colors are exactly the same on the hands and the dial, which in some cases is not the case. You know?
So that's something you want to look for.
Exactly.
What else have you got for me?
When I think of watch, I think of Rolex Submariner. And this is arguably the purest example of a Submariner. It's no date, beautiful original bezel, hands, you know, dial just perfect in every way. I think this is arguably, you know, what a vintage watch should be right here.
Right. And one thing actually about this watch too is it comes with one of these guys.
That's right.
Just to nerd out a little bit, this is an original box from like what, 1967?
67. Yep.
So that looks like it's about 6 months old, not, you know, 45 years old.
Even if I didn't have this watch, I would want to own this box. And I would just put it on my shelf and just let it sit there and have it look great.
I would buy this box and put my Casio in this box. Yeah. And I would wear my Rolex. One of the best stories of any watch, and one we have in this sale, is the story of the Speedmaster, AKA the Moon Watch.
Obviously, the Speedmaster is the watch chosen by NASA to go to the moon, to be the official watch of the American space program. And it was competing against several namesake watches. And this watch just performed better than any other watch out there at the time. It could hold pressure better. It was manually wound because a rotor obviously wouldn't work in zero gravity. And so this watch went to the moon. It played an integral role in getting the astronauts back to Earth safely in Apollo 13. I mean, this watch really played a major role in kind of contemporary history.
Cool. Plus it looks just damn
It's
cool.
awesome.
Tell me about the difference between Tudor and Rolex. I know they're related.
So Tudor is a sub-brand founded by Hans Wilsdorf, who's the founder and original owner of Rolex. They're workhorses, you know, they will last forever. And this Tudor will last as long and as strongly as this Rolex will for sure, but it'll cost you a little bit less. And we've seen a huge push into vintage Tudor. People are going crazy for it. And now this watch will sell almost as much as the Rolex. I think Jaeger Le Coultre, which is still obviously around today, people call it JLC or just Jaeger, that goes by a bunch of different names. JLC is one of the best, you know, kind of watchmaker brands out there, even today. Through the 30s and the 40s, they were essentially the watchmaker to the watchmakers. I mean, that's the type of watch that, you know, the guys in Mad Men actually wear in the show. Don Draper wears a Memovox. So, I mean, it's really very, you know, 1950s, 1960s. Jaeger represents an amazing value, especially if you're more about the technical aspects of it and the actual watchmaking of it. So the watch that you have there is an old Jaeger Le Coultre Memovox, which is an alarm watch. And it's a mechanical alarm watch, so you can set that inner disc and it'll play an alarm, you know, to remind you to feed your child or, you know, leave the office or anything.
That is awesome. Talk to me about another one of my favorites, and you know this, IWC.
IWC is, you know, has a long history of really masculine, really kind of like purposeful watches. The one we have here is an Ingenieur, which is a model that's still around, doesn't look anything like this anymore, but has the same name. And it was designed for engineers.
It's a study and understatement, especially seen from above, but then you see it in profile, and that's where you see it, and you feel it, there's some heft to it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really a very masculine, very beefy watch without coming across as kind of like overtly masculine. I think it's a killer. A real kind of like watch guy's watch, thinking man's watch.
You and I have known each other for a long time. I'm always kind of coming to you with sort of dumb vintage watch 101 questions, true. So one of the things that, you know, I think a lot of guys wonder about is like, you know, to what degree a watch should look vintage, feel vintage? Where's that balance between something that's going to feel low maintenance and something that's going to kind of have that patina of age on it, which we all want?
In my eyes, there's kind of a perfect balance of something that is vintagey and cool, and then beat to shit, and then just totally redone. You know, you want to be somewhere in between, and the watches that we have for you here are all that. I mean, they're all really perfect. If you've got a vintage Rolex or a vintage Patek Philippe or something like what we have here, like these are completely liquid, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're at, you know, a hotel lounge or an airport lounge and a guy came up and said, how much do you want for that, you know? It happens to me all the time, honestly.
Awesome.